Christians who lived in New England during the time of the Salem witchcraft crisis were very religious people. They lived in what many called a world of wonders. According to folklore, they believed earthquakes, comets, floods, thunderstorms, and illness had to do with the mysterious workings of either God or the devil.
Witchcraft was real to a lot of these people. They believed in the existence of Satan. They believed that the devil could take into his own men and women who would sin and turn against God and go to his way, sign his book, the devil's book, and become a witch with him. And it's a fear that was held by many. It was kind of waning by the 1690s. It was a lot of people in England really weren't believing much in witchcraft, but the Puritans really hung on to this idea a lot more. But again, a crime punishable by death, that kind of underscores it. It's real. It's a reality.
Witchcraft was associated with the devil and the devil's work. Strong, weak, and even shoddy evidence was used against those suspected of being a witch. Accusers tried everything to prove suspected witches were evil and belonged on the devil's side, including dreams and visions. At the time, the courts accepted this, but were there really witches in Puritan New England?
There are some theory that they were practicing witchcraft. We don't have any evidence of this, though. We don't know this to be true. I think because they were practicing things like making puppets and burying them in their walls to keep evil from their homes, or making these witch bottles to bury in your fireplace to keep evil out of your home, I think it was kind of skewed in a way that they were practicing witches. But actually the people in the witchcraft trials, most of them were practicing Puritan religion.
The people that were hung here in 1692 were Christian. You know, we don't have any documentation or any proof that there were witches here at all. And they certainly would not have been here under that definition. The definition of what those people were murdered under was that witches were the succubus of Satan. They were the children of Satan. They were his followers, and everything they did was demonic. Those people who died, being the good Christians that they were, because all of them pretty much were churchgoers. And so the fact that they would even say that they were witches under the definition of what the church believed, they would never get into heaven. And so they'd rather die than lose their place in heaven with God.
Salem breaks the mold. The people accused of witchcraft are from all walks of life. You have people who are beggar women like Sarah Good, who goes around cursing people. Then you have Rebecca Nurse, who is a member of the Salem Town Church. She's a full covenant member. And to be a church member at that time doesn't mean you just attend church on Christmas and Easter. It means you literally stand up in front of your congregation. You say, I'm in the elect. I feel that God's divine providence is upon me, and I'm in the elect. So when you accuse church members of witchcraft, that changes everything. Because now you begin to say, wow, who else could it be? It could be my neighbor who's right next to me on the pew. It could be the minister himself.
With a wide range of profiles of accused witches, it's hard to argue whether or not there were any ulterior motives behind the witch trials.
Life was not easy in 1692. The colony had just lost their patronage. There was disease. It was a bad winter. It was cold. There was no food, and people couldn't even get out to get firewood. And that was one of the big things that Reverend Parris was angry about, because he wasn't getting his firewood. And so all of a sudden, the divisions within that church went against each other. The people that lived in the outskirts in Salem Village, which is now Danvers, was against those that were living in the town. And they had a lot of land issues. And the first thing you did when you were brought in, they would ask you to put in a guilty or a non-guilty plea. And as soon as you plead, you lost your land. And that's why Giles Corey never plead. He turned his wife in because she could read. But when they came for him, it was a totally different thing in his mind. And he would not give up his land. So therefore, they kept torturing him until he pleaded. And as we all know, that he died pressed to death.
About 90% of those who pointed fingers in 1692, the afflicted people who pointed fingers, 90% of them never even met the people they accused of witchcraft before this. They didn't even know them. They might have heard gossip, though, against them. Everybody in Puritan New England knew each other's shoe sizes. Everybody knew each other's business. It was very common for you just to know everything about your neighbor, know it well. And so gossip is really that stream in which everything is floated upon.
There was no real basis behind the accusations of the accusers. The Puritan definition of a witch contradicts what witchcraft has stood for thousands of years.
The Judeo-Christian view of witchcraft is that, at least the Christian view of witchcraft at the time, was you sell your soul to the devil, you worship the devil gives you special powers, he gives you a specter to go in the shape and hurt people, to sink ships, to maim livestock, to have sex with them. I mean, that's what witchcraft is, to boil the fat of children and eat it. That's what witchcraft is, to undermine the kingdom of Christ and pull up the kingdom of Satan. That's what witchcraft is in the Puritan mind. There are a lot of modern practicing witches today in the world, and they don't acknowledge the devil at all. They don't follow the Judeo-Christian form of religion. They worship the god, the goddess. They are certainly tied to the earth. They're usually pretty peaceful people, and they don't want to boil the fat of children and eat it.
Witchcraft is actually a modern day form of religion, but also a form of personal practice that's taken from earlier pagan religions. It's based on a goddess and a god, more than likely most of the time, usually a horned god and a moon goddess or an earth goddess. So the god represents the sun more often than not, and the goddess is representing the moon. And the idea is that they work together and are lovers and confidants in creating the cosmos. So they believe, most of the time, people that are practicing witchcraft believe a lot in the earth's effect on us. And they also believe that whatever you do in witchcraft, you are responsible for your own actions. Very different from Christianity, where God can punish you for things. They believe in witchcraft and Wicca that you are responsible for anything that you do, and you're responsible of the effects that come back on you from that.
The witches that are here today are not Christian. It's a totally different type of religion. Christianity is monotheistic. They have one male god. Paganism, we have a god and a goddess. So just that, in that definition, it's totally out of the realm of what they would have seen as what witches were. We don't have a devil. That is a Christian idea. We're nature-based for the most part. That's why you see all these herbs around you, because we believe in the healing powers of the earth. Whether it be in the food we eat, the energy that we get, very much like Native Americans. So that would be, in that scope, you're seeing something totally different than what was here in 1692.
One of the things they worship is the rule of three. A motto of that is, "And harm none, do what ye will," which is showing this responsibility for what you're going to be doing, whether that be in any kind of herbal craft, shamanism, divination, asking things of spirits or ancestral beings. So different kinds of craft among different sects, very different subgroups. But witchcraft as a whole is, like I said, the worship of a god and a goddess, so two deities.
There may be evidence of the occult all around us. However, many quickly associate witchcraft with the legends which dominate the perception of the way of life of a witch.
In witchcraft, there's a balance. There's a balance. There's a balance of light and dark. Everything is in balance. There's a balance of light and dark. There's the masculine aspect. There's the feminine aspect. Everything was in balance. You have a female witch, you have a male witch, you have a god, you have a goddess. The only thing we don't have is evil. That's one thing we don't have. We don't practice it. We don't believe in it. We don't hurt people. We don't eat children or whatever these crazy myths are. We just don't do it. We're just like everybody else. We just have our belief systems, and they have theirs. And just sometimes just people can't accept that. Some people just can't accept that people are different. We have a different belief or believing in a different God. I'll give you a quick example. Witches wear a pentacle, which is a 5-pointed star in a circle. And that usually, you see that on somebody, you say, oh, that person is a witch. What you don't know is about 60, 70 years ago, Catholic priests wore a pentacle, represent the sins of man. And they wore one back then, which they don't anymore, because it represents, of course, they wouldn't wear it now, but they did back then. Most of your churches used to have a vestibule. They used to have a door in the northeast. Used to have a door there when you went in. And a lot of your Christian churches used to have a pagan altar for the pagans. Now it's just candles, or they just made it into a vestibule. But if you look at a lot of pictures of old churches in Europe, you'll see the door that they used to have, the pagans used to use.
There were no actual witches in Salem, Massachusetts. No one ever signed the Devil's Book and caused affliction and harm to other people. However, today, there are a significant collective amount of witches in the community, which begs the question, why Salem?